This is an introduction to the new Pan-London referral form for paediatric dentistry. In London since 2017, all paediatric dentistry referrals have been going to the local CDS provider for the patient's borough that they live in. They're triaged in the community dental service and then allocated for care either in the community or at a hospital. A new form has been developed which will be shared across London. It's initially being piloted in North Central and North West London, where the community dental services are provided by Whittington Community Dental Service or CLCH Community Dental Service. So why is the referral form changing? The previous referral form was designed and optimized at a time when most practices were using handwritten referral forms scanned and emailed in or sent in the post. A lot has changed since then. So the new referral form has been designed taking into account that most practices are using electronic patient health record systems, and all referrals have been accepted by email only and in digital format only for at least 5 years now. So we've optimized the new form for electronic patient record keeping. We've introduced a new priority grading to more easily distinguish between the different categories of urgent, and included some information to more accurately assess and predict what the patient's cooperation will be like for the type of treatment that they might need. We've included conditional questions relevant to the reason for referral, which acts as a scaffold for the referrers in order to help you to provide the right information for this patient's referral to, 1, be accepted, and 2, then be triaged to the right service and the right skill level. So where will the pilot run and how is this being rolled out? As mentioned, this is only being rolled out in the areas run by 2 community dental services. Whittington Community Dental Service, which provides care in Camden, Islington, Enfield, Haringey, Barnet, Brent, Harrow, Hounslow, Hillingdon and Ealing, and CLCH Community Dental Service, where they provide the services for Hammersmith and Fulham, Kensington and Chelsea, and Westminster. If you're not sure which borough your patient lives in, you can find any site where you can input the postcode and look for their local authority. And we've given an example of one of these sites below. This video is looking in more detail at the process to refer to CLCH, which still uses a referral form and the email system that many dentists are familiar with. So for these 3 boroughs, you would use the new referral form and then you would send it by email to the usual address where you've been sending referrals to CLCH. When you look at the new referral form, it might look a little bit intimidating. 4 pages, lots of different sections and lots of questions, but it's not as complicated as it looks. The first page is very similar to the information you've already been providing, and it includes the patient demographics, and this page needs to be filled in for every patient. The safeguarding information at the end and the declarations at the end need to be filled in for each patient, but the rest of this form, they're optional sections, and you only fill in the section that's relevant to the child in your chair. So let's look in a little bit more detail. The demographics information is very unchanged, except now we ask for the patient's parent or carer email so that they can benefit from the patient apps that exist with different services. And we're asking more clearly whether this child is a looked after child. Medical history is pretty much unchanged, but we're now scaffolding the level of information that you need to provide for children with additional behavioural needs. So we'll ask you to select whether it's a known child that has additional behavioural needs, or if it's suspected or diagnosed, or you can say that they have none. If you selected yes or suspected and undiagnosed, then you must indicate the level of need and provide as much information as you can to give that further information. The priority grading, instead of being urgent, yes or no, we've now got 4 categories of urgent, A, B, C, and D, and we've separated out really clearly how the child might come into each one of these categories. If the child in front of you doesn't fit into one of these categories, but you still think they're urgent, you will select other and then provide further information in the further details box. Otherwise, the majority of children, if they don't come into one of these categories, you will select R, which is routine. They will wait on the normal waiting list and wait the typical waiting time. They won't be expedited for a clinical reason. This is really important, and this listens to the feedback from the GDPs who are frustrated having children with repeated swellings sitting in pain and not getting seen fast enough. This section is very important, and I know the first question will be, which boxes should I tick to make sure that you see my patient? There is no magic answer for this. Just be honest and reflect exactly how the patient has presented, knowing that this information is going to be copied to the patient's parents or carers. And then we will match this information up with their referral to predict what type of care this patient needs. And then looking at their previous cooperation, assess what type of adjuncts they might need to receive the type of care they might need. So there is no clear answer for this. It will vary depending on the type of disease or type of problem they've got and the type of treatment they might need. Now we get to the conditional questions section, and you'll see that this varies by the reason for referral. And a lot of the dentists who've been sending very good referrals will already have been providing this information, a good indication of the level of pain and symptom history, a full list of the teeth that have dental caries, highlighting which teeth are known to have infections and how you know that they're infected, and then relevant conversations you've had with the patients, including conversations about a general anaesthetic or giving us more indication about the length, the extent of the decay. What you'll notice here is we've no longer got two categories for dental caries, separating out likely GA and all the other types of caries. We're not expecting GDPs to be able to make a GA assessment or to diagnose or to know which children are suitable for GA in practice. We want the relevant clinical information, and then we will assess them as suitable for GA or not once they're seen in the hospital. The next section looks at opinions about poor quality first permanent molars. It's really important that we identify the additional complicating factors that slow down a patient's care and has delayed patient's treatment outside of the treatment window in the past. These are the types of information that tell us whether we need to send a patient to a hospital, whether we need orthodontic input, whether they need to see a specialist pediatric dentist, or whether they can see a community dentist, a dental officer. It's really important that for each tooth you are indicating what the condition is, so we know which teeth are sound, which teeth are severely broken down, moderately affected, heavily restored, and which ones are causing pain. And we'll shortly show you an example of how to fill this in. It's very straightforward. All of these boxes are easy to just click and select. One other change we are making is that for all referrals for poor quality first permanent molars, the referral must be accompanied by either radiographs or clinical images, and ideally both. This will speed up care for your patients. Ultimately, it will enable us to identify which patients can have virtual advice and guidance. For dental trauma, we pegged this towards a newly qualified foundation training dentist who might not be familiar with the different types of trauma and might find it hard to diagnose between them. So we've given plain English descriptions of each of the main trauma diagnoses. We're not asking you to be able to definitively diagnose if you're not sure. Click the most appropriate options, list out the teeth, give a description, and give us as much information as you can. But most importantly, we're now asking you exactly when the trauma happened. Too often we are receiving referrals saying avulsion, upper right one. We don't know if that was avulsed yesterday, 1 week ago, or 3 months ago. We're not sure what treatment's been provided, where and by whom, so we're also asking for that information in its own bespoke section. And then here we'd like as much information as possible that you can provide. And if that means copying and pasting in a large section of your notes, then please do so. You can also attach additional documents as support. Under soft tissue conditions, It's just a free text box. But what's really important here is we are making it mandatory that you must attach clinical images. Similarly, for dental anomalies, you must attach clinical images. And now we'd like to ask some specific questions. Are the teeth causing pain or sensitivity? Are there aesthetic concerns? If you're referring for a supernumerary, we do need to know if the tooth is erupted or not. That's very important for us to know if we need to involve oral surgery or triage to an oral surgery team. And of course, there are so many criteria you might need to refer to under paediatric dentistry. So they all still exist. We have not changed the referral criteria at all. And you've got a free text box to fill in any information that you don't think is covered elsewhere. And the more information you provide, the faster your child can be seen and more appropriately they'll be triaged. Safeguarding concerns, it's important that you do select no if there are none, and this is mandatory for all the forms. To save yourself time, please ensure that you're filling in all the relevant sections of the form. Again, here, when we're asking if radiographs are attached, if they're not attached, we don't want to know no, they're not. We want to know if they're not relevant, if they're not attempted, or if you were unable to take it because the child was uncooperative. And then we have 3 declarations. First, that you discussed it with the patient, then whether you've provided a copy for them and whether they're aware that a copy will be shared with them. This was asked for by the parents, and it's very important that they are aware and agree with the information you put on this referral form so that we're not having a mismatch between what's written on the referral form and then what the parents say when they come in about their experiences. You've now got 2 videos because when you refer into CLCH, the way you will fill in the referral form is different depending on how your practice works. Some practices will have a Word document saved on their desktop or in a folder that they will double click and fill in. Others have the form integrated into their electronic health record system that automatically pulls in the patient information. So let's have a look at a pre-filled process. This is a referral. You can see that we've double clicked on the Word document icon and we're now filling in all the patient information individually by hand. This is the most painstaking part of this video. And it's the slowest part of filling in this form because you're having to manually fill in all that information. Now, I know when I was a GDP that this was filled in by my dental nurses while I was speaking to the dentist, to the patient. So you can use your team to support you for that. But I wanted to do this in a live way so that you can see how it works. And it was really important that you saw just there that when I was writing out city, it didn't match the formatting. That's because I can't make this form too locked for your purposes. So it's going to come into more bugs that you can't fit it in, but you can adjust things. But it does mean that in some areas the formatting might change and you might want to change it back to make sure that the information you're filling in is very clearly identifiable and note that this has been filled in by you. So once you've filled in all of the patient information, then you're going to save this form. You're going to put it into an email, attach your attachments, whether it's radiographs, whether it's the clinical images, and you'll send it into the referral form. And by looking through this video, so we are nearly halfway through, you can see that we're still just filling in the patient's information, which is the longest part of this form. But once you have filled in the patient information, things start to speed up a lot more from there. So let's see what happens once you filled in the last bit of the information. You can see now we're trying to select between options, and because it's a Word document form that's enabled these click boxes, you just need to select the right box and then type in where necessary, wherever it is, and then you're filling in the form quite easily as you go along. So the typical patient's referral forms being filled in at the moment. If you selected no, you don't need to select any other information there. We'll look at the priority criteria and say, well, what kind of referral is this? Is it a routine referral? And you're just working your way through the sections. So select all the appropriate previous cooperation boxes that apply. And then the reason for referral. And you only need to fill in the boxes relevant to that particular reason. So you'll consider what kind of symptoms the patients have. You'll list out the teeth that have dental caries. And then you're going to look to see whether there are any known infections and how you might have known there were an infection. So if you've seen a visible sinus, so you know the tooth's infected, write down which tooth it was and provide any other information relevant to the triage of this form. So if you, like I said, we no longer have a tick box for likely needs GA, but if you think it is necessary, then please put that in, and it's helpful to let us know what you've discussed with the parents. If this child also had poor quality first permanent molars, you'd fill in other sections. But for this particular example, this child doesn't have any other referral criteria. So we're just going to delete off that part of the form and anything that's not relevant. Fill in the declaration at the end. And then you will save the file and attach it to your email as you're used to doing already. So now let's look at the next type of method to refer patients. And this will be for patients for practices where they have integrated their referral forms into their systems. So let's look at a pre-recording of what that looks like. So this is on Systems for Dentists. We click on the template, press OK, and it automatically merges in all those patient informations. But now what you'll find is most of the dental software systems have to convert the Word documents into RTF format or different Word formats or word processor formats where you can't have clickable boxes. So you can either choose to highlight the relevant option in yellow, like I did on there, or you can choose to delete out all the options. So all the tick boxes have been changed to bullet points here, and you're having to go through and delete out the option, or like I'm showing here, highlight it. Now on SFD, to highlight involves too many clicks. So it's much faster for me using Systems for Dentists to delete out the irrelevant information to show that I have gone through and selected the appropriate options. Now you can see here what the formatting might cause a problem. So sometimes you might type in and find actually this isn't working anymore. So you do need to work with the form and see how it's integrated into your software, what the formatting is in the background, and make sure that it is working for you. You might need some support from your local dental software providing support teams to help you to integrate these in with the merge codes and make sure that wherever you want to type that the font is coming up appropriately. And you can see I have lots of typos when I type, but as long as the information is coming across. So again, here you select the appropriate form, but now in order to make it clear that which option you're choosing, you're going to delete out the other options just to leave the one that you are choosing. Okay, and you choose the method that works best for you. So if it is highlighting it in yellow, because that's the easiest way, great. For me, like I said, for Systems for Dentists, it involves too many different options. Okay, and I'll keep in whatever the relevant criteria were. So I've chosen cooperation for this patient, and for those who've been looking at it, it's this time it's a child with autism, but quite a mild presentation, and they need minimal support at school. They've got asymptomatic dental caries, and I've listed that out. And here, what you'll see is because I've had to introduce another option, which is none, to show that you have actually selected an option. If you had just left them in, I wouldn't have known that you have actually considered that. This particular child, let's say they have another criteria, which is that they've got poor quality first permanent molars. What you'll see is I've highlighted the blue box, copied it, and I'm now using that blue dot and pasting it into the relevant sections so that I can easily fill in this form. If you don't know how to copy and paste, or you're finding that difficult, you can just click in the boxes and write the letter X, or find another method to indicate which box you've selected. And again, you need to select whether you're giving clinical images or radiographs. For this particular child, they're only being referred for poor quality first permanent molars. So all the other information is going to be deleted off, but I want to give a bit of further information. So I'm going to not delete that section, delete off everything else, and make it really clear that I've got no other further criteria for referral, but I want to provide some more information here. So I think this child's going to need a general anaesthetic for extraction of first permanent molars. And I'll say that there's no safeguarding concerns. Fill in the declarations at the end, and then this form will be exported from your electronic health record system, and sent in as you do at the moment. So very similar to the methods you're using at the moment. And what we will be providing to every single practice that refers to CLCH, they will have emails with both the Word document that you can save on your desktop and some merge ready documents. They are pre-populated with the merge fields for systems for dentists. You will need to swap them out for the merge fields relevant to your electronic patient record system if it doesn't automatically integrate. And then integrate that into your files as you would normally. So hopefully those two walkthroughs show you that even though the referral form looks quite long, it doesn't actually take that long to fill in. And it should make referrals easier for you to fill in with the right information so that you're not getting referrals rejected without explanation, and ensure that we're seeing the most urgent cases urgently, and using the best skill mix and all the different pathways we have available in London to get the patient treatment as fast as possible. So what's next? You will receive an email with 3 different documents. A template Word document, which is a .x form that you can save onto your computers, that every time you double click on to open it, it will open up as a document, which is unnamed, and it won't overwrite the template. So you don't need to worry about accidentally deleting off the information on your base template form. Then 2 merge ready forms, depending on your software. Some of you will be able to integrate Word documents. Some of you will be able to integrate RTF documents. I'm not aware of any of them that can integrate click boxes. So all of them, I've made these with the round blue dots that you delete off the irrelevant information. There are 2 video guides. Some practices might be referring to Whittington Community Dental Service using the e-referral on the online referral portal. And there's a YouTube video to go through that. And then you've just watched the YouTube video to go through the email referral to CLCH. You will receive the video guides for both of these. And then we would like your feedback. This is a pilot. We're planning to run it out to roll these referral forms out across the whole of London. And it's really important we know how it's working and have your feedback so that we can make this work for all parties involved. Thank you very much for your attention, and we look forward to hearing your feedback. There will be multiple sessions booked in throughout the next year for feedback and further stakeholder engagement, and we are willing to work with whoever's interested to ensure this is the most appropriate and best way for you to refer your child patients. Thank you.